when I got to the polls, I was out in the rain because the line was all the way out in the building. Now, they vote in the basement. You know, so the line went all the way up the steps, all the way through the building, and all the way outside.
I was hoping to get in and get out, you know, as I've been voting for 35 years, and I've never had to wait in line, you know, can go before I go to work on time. Well, that didn't happen this year.
If you wanted to vote, you had to stand in line. And some people made sacrifices, and they got out of line, and I saw people never come back to vote.
There is no reason, absolutely no reason, why people should have to wait 3 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, whatever they had to wait, when I waited 5 minutes in my own precinct to vote. It was outrageous.
In some of the African-American communities, there were lines that were 11 hours long. On average, black people had to wait 3.5 hours to vote, whereas white suburban residents had to wait less than 18 minutes.
There was some volunteers there from various groups saying, this woman can't vote. They won't let her vote. She just fainted. She said she'd been waiting 2.5 hours. The people under said, you know, she's sick, she's on chemotherapy. She was entitled to be moved to the front of the line. And I was told by the judge, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm the presiding judge here. All I remember is going outside to the woman was sitting down outside the school and saying, they won't let you vote, they won't move you up. And she said, I did my best.
In some communities, the new voting machines speeded up the voting process. In others, there were simply not enough working machines.
I got a call from a few of my fellow volunteers at Kenyon. And they said, Matt, you got to get out here. It's turned crazy.
We got pizza coming in.
The first time I got there, they said 4 hours, and then it turned into 6 hours, 8.5 hours, 9.5 hours. Certainly, that's not an isolated case.
In the Ohio precinct where Kenyon college students voted, some students waited more than 12 hours. 2 machines served 1,300 registered voters. Each machine was expected to handle at least 600 people, more than 3 times the recommended federal guidelines.
We had one precinct where there were 3 machines. One of them never worked. And this was from 9 o'clock in the morning. We made calls to the Board of Elections all day. And I was on the phone with the Board of Elections screaming at that point, we need another machine, we need something. Because at that point, other polling places were closed. There was no reason they couldn't bring in another machine.
We got a lot of calls from voters upset because, you know, again, 2 precincts, why does this one have more machines than I do? Well, it was based on registration and some of those other estimates that we used. And the bottom line was there were not enough voting machines.
Did the Board of Elections do this on purpose? Did he manipulate the distribution of voting machines? The Republican Party denies it. Even the Democrats, some of them say, no, well, it was just accidental.
People cannot wait for a day to vote. Our role is to provide access to the right to vote. We are the gatekeepers of democracy. And if we do not provide enough equipment for the voters to access this process, then in fact we are suppressing their votes.
I hope that those people that look like this is the first time they ever stepped in a voting booth, that looked like they had to bring their 3 kids with them. That I hope that this experience does not make them say the next time, we don't make a difference, that we can't change anything. That we sold them this, that it was important to do this.
Some of the long lines were caused by machine shortages. Others were due to machine failures. Thousands of voters reported machine malfunctions in 42 states. Machine problems included touchscreens going blank, votes switching from one candidate to another, machine breakdowns, and inaccurate totals. Some computer screens froze, causing delays as technicians tried to fix them. The technology that promised to make voting faster and more accurate was turning out to be unreliable.
It seems to me that these electronic voting machines still have a few kinks. How concerned do you think we should be?
Well, John, most of these voting machines run on the same rock-solid Windows platform that never crashes at your home or office. It's an exciting moment, John. We have finally arrived at a golden age of technology, a halcyon era in which...
Ed.
Sorry, hold on, John. The teleprompter crashed. Just give it a second. It's going to reboot.
One serious touchscreen malfunction was vote switching. Voters would select one candidate, and their vote would switch on the screen to someone else. Vote switching in Florida was concentrated in certain counties.
In my area, in Palm Beach and Broward counties on Election Day, remarkably, every complaint was never anybody who intended to vote for George Bush, but who couldn't.
People were indignant or near tears because they had pressed carry when they were trying to vote, and the machine itself lit up and said Bush.
Again, the good news, problems in Florida virtually non-existent, just small glitches here and there.
Mainstream news neglected to mention certain difficulties faced by voters, like vote switching. Though there was little TV or radio coverage, election hotlines were getting reports of vote switching from at least 13 states. Mahoning County, Ohio, was one place where votes were switching on multiple machines throughout the day.
I voted for Kerry. And when I got to the final page on this computer screen to say who my final votes were for, it came up Bush.
I pushed the square for John Kerry, and I almost went on to the next page before I realized that it was lighting up George Bush.
I pushed my vote for John Kerry. Immediately, the vote jumps up and lights up the name of George Bush. Well, I screamed.
There was chaos when people were coming out and saying their votes didn't register right. They were angry.
Sorry, no, what it says is, how are you reconciling the discrepancy?
And right away, one of the aides ran over to me. And she says, oh, push it again. That's been happening a lot.
As I was leaving, there were people that were asking the poll workers to help them because the same thing had happened to them.
And I thought to myself, you're not real computer literate. Did you push the wrong button? Then when I got out into my car, I was thinking, no, something happened to me. Something happened to me. That machine is not right.
A few months after the election, we had a gathering here at the church. We met in the church basement. And one of the things that we did is just ask how many people know someone, not just a story, but know someone whose vote switched. And just in that room of 40 people, we knew 50.